We all begin in the dust. It is not glamorous, not polished, not sparkling. Dust is fragile, overlooked, often brushed aside, but it is from the dust that diamonds are born, and the truth is, the journey between the two is not easy. It is a story of pressure, of fire, of courage, and of becoming. We often want to leap past the dust, the messy starts, the ordinary beginnings, the mistakes that leave us feeling small. But the truth is, the dust is not something to escape from. It is the very ground where our roots take hold. It is the evidence of where we began, and it carries the lessons that later become our strength. To embrace the dust is to honor our humanness, to acknowledge that growth is never instant, and that the most extraordinary transformations are built on humble foundations. Dust is overlooked, stepped on, and easily brushed away. Yet it holds the same elements that, under the right conditions, can turn into something unbreakable. In the same way, our early failures, our flaws, and our missteps often feel insignificant or even shameful. But if we look closer, they are shaping us. They are teaching us humility, teaching us patience, teaching us to keep going even when progress feels invisible. Dust teaches us the art of beginning again, no matter how many times we've been scattered by life's winds. When we embrace the dust, we stop pretending that we were always polished or strong. We learn to see the beauty in the imperfect, in the becoming. There is courage in admitting that the dust is part of our story. It grounds us. It reminds us that strength is not born out of comfort, but out of struggle. Every scratch, every stumble, every bruise along the way is proof that we dared to step forward, even when the path was uncertain. So much of our culture tells us to hide the dust, to only show the shine. But when we embrace the dust, we learn to value the hidden chapters as much as the celebrated ones. The dusty seasons of life are where resilience is built. They are where compassion grows, because only when we've been low can we truly understand what it means to rise. They are where authenticity is born, because when the dust clings to us, we can no longer pretend we are untouched. Dust is also a symbol of belonging. It connects us to the earth and to one another. No matter who we are or what we achieve, we all begin in dust. That shared truth erases the illusion of separation and reminds us that greatness is not about being above others, but about rising together. To embrace the dust is to embrace not only our own beginnings, but also the shared humanity we carry with everyone around us. The dust does not diminish us. It prepares us. It humbles us without erasing our worth. And as we walk through it, we find that it becomes the ground we stand on, the soil from which we grow. When we look back, we realize the dust was never a mark of weakness. It was the foundation of our strength, the place where the possibility of becoming something greater first began. In life, dust represents our beginnings, our failures, our heartbreaks, and the moments we feel unseen or unworthy. Too often, we hide this dust, ashamed of where we started. But the dust matters. It is proof that we are real, that we are made of earth, that we belong here. To deny the dust is to deny the very foundation of transformation. Life has a way of applying pressure at the moments we least expect it. It arrives in the form of setbacks, failures, disappointments, and challenges that seem far greater than our capacity to endure. In those moments, it can feel as though the weight is too much, that the very foundation of who we are might crack under the strain. Yet if we look deeper, we begin to understand that this pressure is not placed upon us to destroy us, but to shape us into someone stronger, more resilient, and more alive to our own potential. When the storm of adversity presses down, our first instinct is often to resist, to ask why we must carry such burdens. But pressure reveals what comfort conceals. It pushes us to discover strengths we never thought we had. It demands growth in places where we once settled for ease. Just as coal under immense weight becomes a diamond, the pressing forces of life take the ordinary within us and transform it into something extraordinary. The cracks we fear are often the very openings through which light enters, showing us not only who we are but who we can become. Setbacks can feel cruel, but they often carry within them lessons that success alone could never teach. They refine us, forcing us to confront our fears, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to rebuild on stronger ground. Each failure challenges us to rise again, not as the same person we were before, but as someone shaped by wisdom, courage, and perseverance. Pressure teaches us patience when results do not come quickly. It instills humility when pride tempts us to believe we are untouchable, and it cultivates resilience when life reminds us that control is never fully ours. Adversity also shapes the heart. In moments of struggle, we become more compassionate toward others carrying their own unseen burdens. Pressure softens us even as it strengthens us, allowing us to connect more deeply and authentically. The very hardships we once wished away often become the bridges that link us to others, because nothing unites people more than the shared experience of endurance. It is easy to mistake pressure for punishment, but often it is a sign of transformation. Without the challenge, there can be no growth. Without the weight, there can be no strength. Each difficulty is like a sculptor's hand, chiseling away what is unnecessary so that the masterpiece within us can emerge. What feels like breaking is, in truth, a becoming. The pressure of life will never fully disappear. It comes in waves, sometimes gentle, sometimes overwhelming. But if we learn to see it not as an enemy but as a teacher, it no longer has the power to paralyze us. Instead, it equips us, it molds us. It calls forth the diamond within the dust of our beginnings, reminding us that the very weight we carry is the same force that makes us shine. Diamonds are not created in comfort. They are formed under immense pressure, deep beneath the surface, in places no eye can see, and so it is with us. Our struggles, our pain, our unanswered questions, these are the pressures that shape us. We may resist them, wish them away, but in truth, they are carving something within us that cannot be made any other way. We spend much of our lives trying to appear strong, composed, and unshaken. We polish our surfaces, hide our cracks, and cover our fears in the hope that others will see us as whole. Yet the truth is, what makes us deeply human and profoundly connected to one another is not our perfection, but our vulnerability. To embrace vulnerability is to accept that our flaws, fears, and cracks are not weaknesses to be erased, but parts of our story that carry strength and beauty. There is a quiet courage in admitting that we are not invincible. Vulnerability asks us to step into spaces where the outcome is uncertain, to speak when our voice trembles, to show up when failure is possible. This is not weakness. It is one of the bravest acts we can choose. It is easy to hide behind masks and walls, but those barriers keep us from truly living. When we let ourselves be seen as we are, with the cracks and scars that tell our story, we create space for authenticity and connection. Our flaws remind us that we are not machines, but human beings who stumble, fall, and rise again. They humble us and invite us to see growth as a process rather than a finished product. Fears, too, carry purpose. They reveal the places that matter most to us. Fear often points to where our deepest values lie, because we only fear losing what we truly love. By facing those fears instead of burying them, we discover resilience that cannot be built in comfort. The cracks in our lives, the moments where we have been broken open by pain or failure, are often where light enters. They become the places through which compassion flows, because once we have been cracked, we can no longer look at others without recognizing their fragility too. Vulnerability builds empathy. It reminds us that none of us are alone in our struggles. When we accept our own humanity, we become gentler with the humanity of others. There is also a kind of strength that only vulnerability can offer. Pretending to be perfect creates walls, but acknowledging our wounds builds bridges. The willingness to be real, to say, I don't have it all together, frees us from the burden of performance and invites freedom. It gives us resilience, not because it shields us from pain, but because it teaches us that even in pain we can endure, we can heal, and we can keep moving forward. To embrace vulnerability is to embrace life in its fullest form. It is to know that love requires risk, growth requires discomfort, and courage requires stepping into uncertainty. Our cracks, flaws, and fears do not diminish us. They are what make us human. They are what make us resilient. They are the marks of a life lived bravely, not perfectly, and they remind us that even in our most fragile state, we are still worthy of love, belonging, and becoming. Transformation is not about pretending we have it all together. It's about allowing ourselves to be vulnerable enough to admit, I am still in the dust, but I am becoming. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is the birthplace of courage. It is the moment we choose to show up even when the outcome is uncertain. That is the very pressure that turns dust into brilliance. Darkness is often misunderstood. It feels heavy, isolating, and endless when we are caught inside it. Yet it is within darkness that some of the most profound transformations take place. Seeds break open in the soil before they ever reach the light. Diamonds are formed deep in the earth, far from sight. In the same way, our own growth often unfolds in hidden, quiet spaces when nobody is watching and when recognition is absent. Courage through darkness is not about escaping it quickly, but about choosing to keep moving, trusting that the unseen work within us is leading to something greater. The hardest part of darkness is the silence. When no applause follows our effort, when no encouragement echoes back, we may begin to question whether the struggle has any meaning at all. But it is in these silent battles that character is forged. Transformation does not announce itself. It begins in the stillness of nights spent wrestling with doubt, in tears shed behind closed doors, in choices made when no one else will ever know. The courage to continue in those moments is the courage that shapes us. There is a sacredness to the unseen. Growth that happens in hidden places is free from performance, free from the need to prove. It is real, raw, and lasting because it is not done for others, but for the integrity of our own becoming. We discover who we truly are when we walk through valleys where nobody can carry us. The darkness tests us, but it also reveals us. It asks us to trust in a future we cannot yet see. Courage through darkness is not loud. It does not always roar. Sometimes it is as quiet as getting out of bed when despair tells us to stay down. Sometimes it is choosing kindness when bitterness feels easier. Sometimes it is holding on to hope with trembling hands. These small acts of courage, invisible to the world, are what reshape us from within. They accumulate over time, slowly altering who we are and preparing us for the light that will one day return. And when that light comes, we carry with us a depth we could not have gained any other way. The darkness teaches us resilience, it teaches us empathy, and it teaches us to value the quiet moments of becoming. When we emerge, we do not emerge unchanged. We emerge stronger, softer, and more real. Others may see only the diamond that now shines, but we know the darkness that shaped it. True transformation is rarely glamorous. It is often painful, hidden, and unseen. Yet it is in those hidden spaces that the most authentic growth occurs. Courage through darkness is not about avoiding fear or pain, but about walking through them with the quiet belief that the struggle is shaping us. And though nobody may witness those moments, they are the very moments that define who we are and who we will become. The hardest part is that much of this journey happens in silence. Just as diamonds form in the dark, so do we. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Healing doesn't always post a sign. Sometimes the most powerful shifts in our lives are invisible until one day we emerge and the light reflects differently off of us. To shine with authenticity is to let go of the illusion that we must be flawless in order to be worthy. A diamond does not shine because it is without imperfection. It shines because it reflects light through the unique angles and cuts that make it what it is. In the same way, our lives are not defined by perfection, but by the courage to show up as we truly are. Authenticity is not about polishing away every crack or hiding every scar. It is about embracing them and allowing them to become the very surfaces through which our light can shine. Perfection often isolates us, keeping us trapped in the endless effort of maintaining an image that was never real to begin with. But authenticity frees us. When we step into our truth, we no longer waste energy pretending. We no longer carry the weight of performance. Instead, we radiate from a place of honesty, where the light that shines is not borrowed or forced but our own. This is where true brilliance begins, not in the absence of flaws, but in the wholeness of being real. A diamond's brilliance comes from its many facets, each cut creating a new way for light to enter and be reflected outward. Our own facets are the experiences that have shaped us, the joys, the heartbreaks, the mistakes, the lessons, the victories. Each of these adds a depth to our lives. When we accept them rather than deny them, we create more ways for our light to shine into the world. Authenticity is not about being one-dimensional. It is about embracing every angle of our story. There is a quiet strength in being genuine. To shine with authenticity is to say, "This is who I am," even when fear whispers that it is not enough. It is standing in our truth without shrinking to make others comfortable or stretching ourselves to fit an expectation. It is refusing to dim our light in order to blend in and refusing to distort it in order to stand out. Authenticity does not seek approval. It simply allows us to live aligned with who we truly are. When we live authentically, we create connection. People are drawn to light that is real, not manufactured. Just as a diamond catches the eye not because it is flawless, but because it reflects light so brilliantly, our own authenticity inspires others because it carries honesty. By being ourselves, we quietly give permission for others to do the same. Our shine becomes not a display of perfection, but an invitation to truth. Shining with authenticity is not about becoming something we are not. It is about uncovering what has always been there. Beneath the dust, beneath the pressure, beneath the fear, there is a self that is whole and worthy. When we allow that self to stand in the light, we discover that our flaws do not diminish us. They become part of the brilliance. They become part of what allows us to reflect truth, courage, and love into the world. That is the shine no perfection could ever create, and when that light comes, it is not about being flawless. A diamond shines because of its cuts, its facets, its imperfections. Our scars, our struggles, our lessons, these are not things to hide. They are the very surfaces that allow us to reflect light into the world. Your journey from dust to diamond is not just your own. When you shine, you give others hope. You remind them that their dust holds potential too. You become living proof that what was once overlooked can become something unbreakable, unshakable, and radiant. Our journey through struggle, growth, and transformation is never just about us. The path we walk, the battles we face, and the resilience we cultivate ripple outward, touching lives we may never fully realize. When we rise from our own dust, we do more than prove to ourselves that change is possible. We light the way for others who are still buried in their beginnings. By shining authentically, we give silent permission for others to step into their own becoming. People are often inspired not by flawless stories, but by real ones. When someone sees us standing strong after seasons of hardship, they recognize a reflection of their own potential. They see that brokenness does not have to be the end, that setbacks do not define the whole story. Our scars, once hidden in shame, can become symbols of resilience that whisper to others, "If I made it through, so can you." The courage to share our journey becomes a gift of hope, and that hope can be the spark that lifts another from despair. The beauty of inspiration lies in its quiet power. We do not always set out to change others. Sometimes simply living our truth, continuing to rise when it would be easier to stay down, is enough. Others notice not only the brilliance of the diamond we've become, but also the pressure, darkness, and cracks that shaped it. They see that shining is not about perfection, but about resilience and authenticity. That realization awakens something within them, reminding them of the light they carry too. Our journey also teaches responsibility. To know what it feels like to rise out of dust is to know the pain of being buried by it. With that understanding, we can walk beside others with empathy rather than judgment. Inspiration is not about standing above others, but about extending a hand saying, "I know this place. Let me walk with you until you find your strength." Our resilience becomes not only personal triumph, but also shared strength, creating ripples of courage in the lives we touch. When we shine, we prove that transformation is possible even in the face of overwhelming odds. This proof matters. It dismantles the lie that one must be born flawless to be worthy of light. It shows that greatness can emerge from ordinary dust, that strength is born in struggle, and that brilliance is carved through adversity. Each time we rise, we contribute to a greater story of collective resilience, reminding the world that no one is too broken, too late, or too small to shine. Inspiring others is not about grand gestures, but about living authentically and refusing to hide the truth of our journey. The dust we overcame, the pressure we endured, the darkness we survived, these become guiding lights for someone else. By shining, we do more than illuminate our own path. We light the way forward for those still searching for courage to rise, reminding them that within their dust, too, lies the potential for brilliance. So if you find yourself in the dust today, do not despair. You are in the process. The pressure you feel is not here to destroy you. It is here to shape you. One day, you will look back and see that the dust was not your end. It was your beginning. That is the journey from dust to diamond.